come to hear my story. Pick through my bones. My story was taken from me. My story was grabbed by the neck and dragged through blood and dirt and up here. I didn't even want to join the army. My excuse was worse than the rest of the lads from my village. I didn't have a bad knee like my brother, or young Burns to feed like my cousin. Didn't help with the kirk. Didn't own any land. So they put an arm around me and said I wanted to fight for Scotland and the Covenant, for all of us. To make us proud, they said. As if I'd never done a good thing in all my days to make them proud. I wanted to say no. You couldn't say no. Couldn't say no to Kirk. There isn't much where I come from, see, only hills and cows and sheep. From the start of the year to the end, you'd barely see 50 people, no one in sight in all the world. I didn't know a thing of the world. Thousands and thousands came to fight from all over Scotland. Useless lads like me, useless lads who'd not done well, who were surplus to requirements. I didn't want them to think me scared, so I said yes in the end and I shook their hand. Almost all of them are dead now. A few of them are here. It was as if a great hammer came down from the sky and smashed us to pieces. If you weren't killed, you were thrown to the four winds. I suppose you want to hear about the fight? That's why you've come here. We didn't have a clue what we were meant to do. Didn't have a clue what were going on that day. Only shouts and cries, go this way, go that. There was so much noise with the crying and guns and more cries, go this way, go that. The noise got worse and worse. And smoke, go this way, then that. There was no way to make sense of it with all the smoke and noise. And before sense came, the English fired at us. Suddenly there they were, charging at us. We rushed down the hill into horses and guns and swords and... No. I'll not say one word more. Others will tell you more. You can speak to them. You can pick through my bones with them. The hammer came down. Smash! Exhausted and starved, we could barely walk another step. They even shot the lads who were too tired to walk. So they just lay down, shot in the ground where they lay in the dirt. Others died of cold and flux. All crammed on top of each other, stinking of piss and shit and death. And so cold. No. I'll not say one word more. Others will tell you more. Just look at you. You look so well. You have nae got a clue of what it were like for us back then, digging this great drain up to our knees in water for most of the day, splashed by mud from the spade. Many days the mist grew so thick you could nae see more than a few yards. Other days it rained and rained, and before long the floods came down on us. Sorry. I'm doing it again. Telling you the story before it was meant to be told.
Get back to work. I knew it would be you. If only you worked as hard as you taught, this work would be long since done. Go on, sweep the floor. Over there. Come on. Over there. Did he talk to you? He did, didn't he? I've never known a man who talks as much as that one. Oh, I can see what he's done. He's made you feel sorry for him. Don't. Only feel sad for him if you feel sad for the rest of us. Just look at you, sitting there, clean and calm. You haven't a clue what it was like for us. Because this land was soaked in blood back then. The damage and the wounds were still raw. Are you still there? I told you to get back to work. Now. Stop. Don't take his side. I can see he's got you on his side. Well, stop it now, please. Nobody dreamed that this great breach would be made through the land. It began with talk. Nothing but talk. Talking for talking's sake. That rabble of Parliament talking and talking and talking. Nonsense half the time. Somehow that turned into either you're for Parliament or the King. Parliament or the King. Before long, they forced us all to make a choice. Parliament or the King. The godly or the Pope. Heaven or hell. Black or white. Before long, the King fled and raised his arms. Before long, it became a bloody, tearing, endless fight. Nobody thought it would come to this when they set out their words, disagreements. I didn't want to fight. None of us did. I'm a carpenter. I'm a craftsman, you see. I always loved to make things with my hands. I wouldn't have dreamt back then that I'd live by the sword and the gun. Always messing around with offcuts of wood, bits of string. The quiet boy in the corner, that was me. That's where I'd be found. I couldn't fight to save my life until the war descended on us. The only thing I ever wanted in life was my tools and a good piece of wood to work. Not this. Anything but this. At Marston Moor, I looked across the field, and all I saw was the dead sticking up out of the mud, except you could hear the wails and groans of the not yet dead. Scotsmen mainly. They fought with us that day. The King ripped them all to shreds. Finally, it seemed that there was no more blood left to spill. We returned to our lives. I'd forgotten what it was like to have peace, my tools, and a good piece of wood to work. It doesn't matter what side you're on then, holding a good piece of wood, thinking how the work should be done. It doesn't make sense. They turned to find us in the end. Even less that they came here. After all the blood and tears, they wanted to take it all away from us. Everything that we'd fought for. They even wanted to bring back the King's son. They deserved to burn in hell for what they did, rising up against God's will, dragging us back to the war. Cromwell ripped out their hearts. The wretched lot of them, mouthy and rude they are, lazy as hell, always causing trouble. A more useless bunch of men you wouldn't find on God's earth. And just look at him. Anything to get out of work. Look. I told you to get back to work! Don't look at me that way. I'm doing my job, that's all. The company pays me to keep them at work. That's all. The company pays me to make sure they work hard. And the pay's good for a man like me. Can you promise me one thing? Whatever you hear this day, remember all of us who died in the war, not just them. Because if we'd lost that fight, if we'd lost that day, it would be me and you who'd be down in that stinking drain instead of them. We'd be in the cold and the mud. None of us wanted this breach in our land. None of us wanted heaven or hell, black or white. None of us.
They're going to talk to you about coal seed, rapeseed, corn and grain, about winter grounds, about how the land is going to be worth 2 or 3 times more what it is now, how there'll be more food, we'll escape the floods, how wretched our lives have been all these years. No, what a lot of nonsense. They ain't got no clue, haven't they? Well, I've always lived round here. I's a fen man, a marsh man, that's what I is. And all I'll ever be, for better or worse. Well, what am I supposed to do, eh? Just sit around here and let them steal our ends. Oh, look at you. Well, how would you feel, eh? If someone came to your land and said they were going to take it away, buy you from your cattle, take away the land where you feed your family. How would you feel, eh? Terrible. I know you look at me and you think he's wretched, he's wild, he don't matter. But that's just the same for me, you know. I've been taking my cattle out onto that summer ground for as long as summer's followed spring. Right. Now they cut channels, they build banks, and I can't even bring my cows out onto the poor grounds. The poor grounds, they say, they've left us. They're taking the best land for themselves, you know. Oh, yeah. Right. Those undertakers, that's what we call them. Up there in London, chattering and babbling away, telling us what's good, what's bad. None of them come from round here. How come they think they knows what's good for us, eh? The only thing they care about, that's filling their pockets, that's the truth of it. Well, I'm out there on the fen and the flood stretch out as far as the eye can see. I feel like I's king of the world. Nobody can tell me what to do. Nobody. Nobody knows. If they tried, they'd sure to drown those uplanders. They ain't got no clue how to get around the fen. No clue. All I have are my lines and my nets and what I know's in my head. Us fen folk, we know where the birds rise and where the fish hide, where the ground's hard and where it's too soft to go, just by the way it looks. The fen, that talks to us, you know. The fen? That tells us things. They chatter and babble away. I'd rather keep out of all that talk. Well, I'd rather not be here stuck in this room with you. I ain't got no choice. There's things I've got to tell you, things I need to say. Besides, that ain't bad work what I do. I can earn more from a few days fishing and fowling than if I work for them for weeks. My family ain't going to starve. There's always more birds to net, more fish to catch. They threaten to send us to jail, you know. No. If we cut their drains and cut their bangs, but you explain to me, please, what we're supposed to do, eh? Allow our cattle to starve? Allow our families to starve with them? No, it ain't right. Right. No. Boy, when I'm out there on that fen, an ocean of sedge and grass, sweet and rich, boy, that's the best grazing land in all of England, I tell you. Nothing beats a cool breeze that comes off the fen on a hot day. Nothing smells as sweet as litter and sedge cut fresh by the scythe. Boy, I've only got to clap my hands, and thousands of widgeon and teal will fly up all around me. enough to fill up half the sky. When I'm out there with them, I feel like I's in heaven.
What's he doing here? I offered to speak, not be part of a rabble. Someone take him away now, please. Now! What did he say to you? What's his name?
No one here's going to help you. Outsiders. Nothing but liars, thieves.
If everybody listened to people like him, we'd all still be living in caves and nothing godly would ever be made of us.
I've got to tell you something. Things we all need to see.
Please let me speak, sir. These people have come to hear me, not you. I'll have you arrested if you persist like this.
What about our own speak? Quietly.
Hurry up.
Quietly.
For everyone like him, I can find you 3 who have had their summer grounds flooded, or their houses washed away, or have nothing to eat when the winters come and freeze the land. Surely you know this is true. You also know that the drainage has been so bad with the silting up of the river outfalls and the flooding of the summer grounds, it can't be left to get worse and worse. The Commissioner of Shores made this clear. We've only done what they said must be done for years. Surely you know this is true. The drainage work will provide food for the cattle in the winter, so more can graze on the summer meadows. Provide more food, more money, more wealth for all of us.
Nonsense.
The ague and the foul air will disperse, and we're not taking all of the land, just a third of it. Allow me to tell you what we have planned.
Nonsense, he's here to get rich.
It is essential in these hard times that we think of the wealth of the nation. After all we've been through, abundant grains and foods will protect the Commonwealth. And because the king has gone, this means that there will be more for all of us.
What about our common rights, eh? What about them? They go back to start time.
Well, pays for his armies and ships to keep safe our way of life. The Dutch and the French wouldn't care a fig for a man like him. They'll take all of the land.
So they help and steal our land?
I assure you, we will not get rich from this. No man has ever got rich from drainage. The expense so great, the risk so high.
So why are you here then?
For the general good, as Parliament has decided. They decide what is required for the general good.
Nonsense. Parliament and nothing but proxy, please.
Allow me to speak, sir. People have come to hear me. I'll have you arrested if you persist like this. Closed mind, if everybody listened to the likes of you, we'd still all be living in caves.
Nonsense.
I promise you, this will be a rich land one day. The great source of food and prosperity for this nation. People will be proud to work and live here. We're building roads and bridges. Long gone will be the time when it takes days to cross the level and be trapped here when it floods. I promise you, it will be a fine place. Surely you can see this.
It's a fine place now.
After we adventurers have long gone, will thank us for all we have done.
Get thee gone.
Now, let me tell you how we plan to do this work, how the drains will work, and they'll keep the land free of floods.
Captain, pull me back one day. You can't keep him.
We need to let something have this man arrested, or I'll not go on. Don't listen to him. This disgusting wretch of a man, dragged out of the slime and dirt. Just look at him. Arrest him now. The justice of the peace is down the road. Help me take him there now. Hello. Please. He's like him. Wow.
Nothing but lies.
Nice.
All of it lies. Outsiders, they're all the same. Trying to tell us how to live our lives on our own land. You never thought we'd live there all our lives. We can see right through their lies.
Sorry. Forgot you were here. Forgot you've come to hear my story. A guard told us to wait in a line. Only the hale and hearty without children or wives, he said. After all we'd been through, not one of us was either hale or hearty. Closer to half dead. Everyone stood up, mind. Wherever they wanted us to go. Could nae have been worse than where we were. Drainage works, they said. But if they planned to send us to hell, it could nae have been worse than where we were. So we stood in a line, propping each other up to stand hale and hearty, but clearly wretched as hell. You could tell by the way he looked at us, disgusted at the sight of us he was, the gentleman who'd come to take us here. He picked us by tapping our shoulders with a cane, then walked off without a word said. The following day, they marched us off. A rumour spread we were to be transported to the New World. Another rumour spread we were to be transported to the mines, and dig beneath the earth. I hadn't even heard of the Fens till that day. Didn't know a place could be so dull and flat. Hundreds of men were stretched out in this great cut in the earth. I've never seen such a sight. As many men as are on me and all working on the drains, digging and shifting water and mud. Miles and miles of it. And whirligigs and planks and ropes and barrows and shouting and talking and everyone covered in stinking mud. Something I've been since the day I got here. They told us to wait in a line.
My name is John Kelsey. My job is to oversee your work and keep you out of trouble. Hopefully, you'll not be as bad as the last lot of you lads. Scots lads like you. They were wearing the white tunics. Over there, see? You've come here to help them with the works. The company will pay you. You'll be put in lodgings and all will be perfect. As long as you work. That's why you're here. Not to straggle or chatter or mess. You're here to work. And the faster you work, the sooner you'll be free to go home. I promise I'll be fair to you. Don't try to mess with me though. Before I came here, I fought with Cromwell. So I know how to deal with lads like you. Remember Cromwell? You all remember him, don't you? And you know what a fight with him was like. It didn't turn out well for you lads, did it? I promise to be fair, unless you don't do what I say. Then you'll quickly come to hate me. Is this clear? Speak up.
Yes.
Above all else, don't try to run off. Don't even give it a thought. This order has been issued by Parliament. Let me read it to you. That such Scots prisoners who have been placed or disposed of by the Parliament or Council of State or by their authority or by any of the officers of the army as have or shall run away from the places where they are so disposed or go into Scotland without leave or licence had from the Parliament or authority under the Parliament shall suffer death and shall be proceeded against by martial law and punished with death. Now look out there. See? Go on, look. That, my friends, is the Wild Fen. It might look fine standing here, but believe me, it's a hellish place. Try to walk out into the fen and you're sure to get lost. And you'll find the ground sinking beneath you, up to your waist. Or you'll fall through a floating bed of reeds that has deep, stinking cold water. Or you'll think you've found a way out until you meet the next mire and sink down, and the next, and the next. And the next mire will bar your way. And then, even worse, a mist will come down, as it does most days, destroying all sense of where you are and where you've come from. And it's impossible to find one dry place to sleep at night. So you'll die of exposure, taken by the spirits and bogles and witches that live out there. And don't try to run off. Don't run off down that road. Soldiers will hunt you down. Cromwell's soldiers. A band of them are nearby, and they, believe me, will hunt you down. They're ready to come down here if there's any trouble. Have I made this clear?
Yes.
You only need to have one thought in your head. To do as I say. Work as hard as you can, then you will be fine. Is that clear?
Yes.
Oh, and one more thing. Never pay heed to the people who live round here. They're little more than savages. Whatever they say or do, just get on with your work. Have I made this clear? I didn't hear you. Speak up.
Yes.
There's a spade there for each of you. Pick one up and come with me. I'll show you where the work needs to be done. Come on.
So we worked from dawn to dusk. We just knew how to work hard on a farm, but not like this. Within the drain, it were wet and cold all the time. The secret was to remain dry as long as you could. On the first day here, I slipped off the plank and fell in the water. Soaked. It took days to get dry. If you worked too close to the next man, you get splashed again and again by his spade. But if you stood too far off, no one would be there to grab you if you fell. The clothes they gave us took days to get dry. If you fell in and you got soaked right through, we tried to hang them up at night, but they were almost as wet the next day. The air was so damp. But the planks and the banks were so slippery, it were almost impossible not to fall. We were sent down to dig out the big drains at first and shift mud onto the high bank with barrow and bucket. I preferred digging. It was harder work, but there was less chance you'd fall in and get soaked right through. Some days it were too wet to dig. Instead we worked at the top, shifting the mud, blasted by the wind and the rain so hard it blew you off your feet. Sometimes the bank would slip and try to bury us alive. You'd have to scramble away as fast as you could. After the mud gets so thick around your legs, you just can't move. After a few weeks of this, your legs start to rot, itch and stink and raw. Being so cold all the time was the worst thing. It got so deep in your bones it just stayed there. Even with the hard work, you'd sweat because of the work, but still stay cold deep in your bones. They throb with the pain of the cold. Sorry. I can see you're bored with this. Just to say, it were hell, complete hell. Brutal, wet and cold. Hell. Imagine the wettest and coldest you've ever been in your life. Close your eyes and imagine. Go on. Humour me. Close them. Please. Then imagine you can't ever go home and get warm. Instead, it goes on for day after a day until you get so weak you just can't fight the cold. Cold is all you have. Cold is your entire being. Close your eyes. Go on. Please. Just look at you. I can see you've no notion of what it were like for us. It wasn't the cold as much as the being no way out of it. How could you know what it were like for us back then, in your clothes and hats and warm beds? Some of the men got so sick with the cold, many we'd not see again. Sometimes, when I were digging, I'd close my eyes and imagine I were back in Scotland, on the farm. Mother's food waiting for us. A fire to go back to thaw out our bones when we stop work. I'd close my eyes, try to think of home. But then I'd look up, see I was still in this great cut in the earth, another part of hell. Sometimes they send us out in the fen, digging the division dikes or digging out clay to line the drains or cutting away the reeds and sedge and grass to make the land bare. Brutal it was out there. The wind would cut right through you. The only thing left was to hope you could make it through to the spring. Sorry, that's not true. There's one more thing. Running away and getting the hell out of there. Every day there was so much talk of running off, making sure the English dikers couldn't hear us. Several of the lads had gone. We didn't know how far they got, though. Kelsey said they'd been shot, but we knew he was a liar.
Stop! Stop now, I say! If you put a damn drain there, how am I going to get my cattle out onto their grounds? Well, what good is my land if I can't get my cattle out onto it? Stop now, sir, or I wring your neck.
We just do what we're told.
Do as I tell you and stop, I said.
We've no choice.
You want to go back to Scotland? Go back there and ruin your own land.
We can't go back. They told us if we try to run off, we'll be put to death.
Well, I only want to talk to you. They can't see the reeds are in way. Look at you. You're a soldier, ain't you? Soldiers are supposed to fight. There's a lot more of you than there is of them. Well, we'll help you fight.
I'll not talk to you.
There ain't nothing wrong with us. That's them that's wrong. You're a coward. That's what you is, a coward.
Leave me alone.
You want to get the hell out of here? You don't belong here.
Over there, sir. Look how high the banks have been raised, running from Meeple to Welney. And below, see how wide and long the drains are now. It's taken a long time, but the Scots have delivered in the end.
The company wants them to move on to the division dikes. Secure against the floods here, then move the work.
Well, my instructions are to keep them here, so Cornelius has
The
said...
company decides what we do next. Without the company, there are no works. It is essential to have this work done by spring so that we can move on to the division dikes. Funds will run out if we fail to get more done. The Scots have to get more done.
They cannot work any harder. They're already working from dawn to dusk.
Anyone can work harder. Look at that man there. He appears to be idle. Why is he not at work?
He's only fit for light work.
He's distracting the rest of the men. The digging stopped.
I allow them short breaks.
So, more work can be done. Cut down on their breaks, do whatever needs to be done. Do they work in all weathers?
Yes, except when it rains so hard the water's coming down off the banks.
Listen to me, John. The company is running out of money. Only half the taxes are paid. We're struggling to sell the defaulters' land. Everything is costing twice what we were told by Sir Cornelius. He's refusing to work on the division dikes. Without the division dikes, there'll be no money. And without money, there'll be no works. After all we've done, their debts will kill us.
Well, it's impossible for them to work any harder.
At least tell that man there to get to work. The last thing we need is another breach of the bank. We need to get the work done before the floods come down. Does it look secure?
Well, it was the last time I looked.
When?
Last week.
The river wasn't running high last week. I want you to look again. And you haven't sent us the muster this month. We need to keep track of the men. The Council of State told us not to be late this time. Any more escapes?
No, but some are sick.
Any deaths?
3 men have died.
Found by the men or the landlord?
The landlord.
So the others don't know?
No.
Better to keep it that way. The last thing we need now is any kind of insurrection or running away of the men. And the muster must be with me by the end of the week. See that you do this for your own sake.
I'll make sure.
Remember, it was me who chose to hire you. The company, however, has expressed its concern about the number of Scots prisoners who've run away. We need to make sure no more are lost. For your own sake. I'm only telling you this so you know you can take more care. Anyway, that's what I've come to say. And remember, secure the banks, then we can move on to the division dikes.
Can you take the Scots to Welling to build up the bank?
They've work to do here.
That delayed the work here. North Bank's grown weak. If floods over there, it'll stop the work here.
Did Hammond tell you?
Any breach up there will stop all the work.
Hammond needs to know.
Now, I control the day-to-day work.
There are English dikers up there. Why can't they do the
I
work?
prefer not to use them.
Why?
The dikers did the work in the first place. They cut the banks too short.
Does Hammond know? Listen, Hammond needs to know. He tells me that the work is going too slowly here.
I promise you, if the bank goes, there will no work here or anywhere else for weeks.
Well, better ask Hammond first then.
The company will dismiss the lot of us if it floods. A letter will arrive from London to tell us to leave. It's happened before, last year. It isn't stable up there. The banks move. It will breach if the river rises. Hammond might like it now, but if things go wrong in the solution,
Well, better ask him first then.
he doesn't need to know.
He'll agree to the work if it needs to be done.
They'll dismiss the lot of us if they find out how the work was done up there.
I see now. You're risking my work for your own sake.
For all our sakes.
Is this just to cut costs?
The contractors failed to do the work as they were told.
Surely it's your job to check their work. You just brought in your friends to cut costs, didn't you?
I didn't come here to argue with you. I only need them there for a few days. Hamilton will be back till after.
He still expects progress on the work here. Listen to me. Don't spoil things for me. I need this work. You didn't fight in the war, did you?
No.
During the war, when I was up north, my workshop was burned down. And when I got back, everything was gone. My brother was killed. My son is missing. God only knows where he is now. God willing, he will come back soon. But I need to set things right so when he does come back.
So do what I ask for your own sake. Listen to me, John. The only thing that works is to tell the likes of Hammond what they want to hear and then carry on and do what needs to be done. They'll forgive you, but the moment things go wrong, it'll be our fault, not theirs. I only need them for a few days.
Moving them up there means we're going to have to move the guards.
The guards won't care.
But they'll argue and talk. And giving the Scots the worst work makes them angry.
The work up there is no worse than the work here.
But moving them means there's more chance of them running off. At least they're familiar with things here. Any more lost will be seen as my fault.
I want you to move them up to the north bank. Blame me if it goes wrong. I control the day-to-day work.
And I control the Scots.
The river won't wait for this. We have to move them up there now. Without my help, you'll not stay on the works for long. So get them up there. Now!
Come back! Come back now, I said! Did you hear me?
I was up on the bank, shifting earth to the top, when I looked to the east and saw in a patch of reeds a white shape. At first, I thought it was a swan, but the white was too dull. Then, when I saw the prisoners working on the drain some 100 yards away, I knew what it was.
Come back now, I said! Did you hear me?
Immediately I rushed down the bank toward the fen and had to splash and wade through the wet ground. Tangled up in reeds and sedge that made me trip up and get soaked right through. Finally, I saw the white of his jersey, through the reeds. Beyond was water, so I swam the rest of the way. He was face down in the water when I reached him. Then, I turned him over. His face was white and dull, but I knew who it was. Michael Murray. Before the war, I'd barely seen a dead man, but now that look was so familiar. I'd fought with him in the war, been with him all the time since. He never looked strong, always half dead. Others who looked twice as strong fell down, but somehow he made it through. I remember talking to him before the battle. The last one I talked to before the first shots. He told me he lived on a farm only 50 or so miles from me. We'll be back there soon, he said. Only a few days ago he'd talk about running away, but everyone talked about this from time to time. Somehow, I pulled him out of the mere and dragged him back to the bank. It took the best part of an hour to drag him the 200 yards.
Did you hear me? What the hell do you think you were doing? Didn't I make it clear what happens to men who run away?
I wasn't running away. I was trying to save this man.
He's dead!
I didn't know he was dead.
He's been dead for days.
You knew. So you just left him there? Left him to rot and be picked at by the birds?
I could see he was dead.
So you just left him there?
What was the point of dragging back a corpse, risking another man's life? Anyway, even if he was alive, we'd have then sent him to be hanged for trying to escape.
You didn't know he were dead then? What kind of man are you?
There's no point in trying to bring back a corpse.
I asked you, what kind of man are you?
A godly man. A godly man paid to work here. A godly man paid to make sure you work. Not just run off when it suits you. I fought in the war as well. The war took sides. I was on the right side. You were on the wrong. God chose the sides. God chose my side, not yours. God chose me, not you. Bringing back a corpse. Anyway, I've had enough of your talk. Get back to work now.
No.
What did you say?
I'll not work.
You'll do as I say.
Until we bury him. With the service. We'll not work.
We?
The others will feel the same when I tell them. Michael Murray was with us for years, right from the start, before the fight.
All right. You see that bank over there? The one that needs raising up. You can bury him there. Half an hour you've got. And hear me. I can still have you hanged for this. Say your ungodly prayers over his corpse. He'll go to hell along with the rest of you. Half an hour, that's all.
So we buried him. A few of us who knew him well. I did my best to remember the words of the service, the ones we used at home. After that, we sang a hymn as best we could, a bunch of useless lads standing up on that great bank. I scattered dirt over his face and put him in the ground. He still might be there for all we know. I decided then to make my own escape. Not to rush off, but to be careful and plan the best way. From high on the bank I could see how the fenmen moved about. Some parts they walked, others they used a small boat to move up small creeks. Other parts where it were thick in reeds, they didn't ever go. Slowly I built up a map in my mind and tried to work out a safe path. I didn't tell a soul what were on my mind. I couldn't trust them with Kelsey there. Finally, I thought I could see a way out. I escaped when it were near dusk and the day's work were coming to its end. Enough light was left to make my way down through the meadows. I carried a stick like I'd seen the fenmen do, checking how deep it was, how soft the ground. I'd only go far enough to get out of sight. Then, early in the morning, I'd try to make my way to the high ground and make my way from there. I'd noticed the swan's nest from the bank, raised up by a small channel, and by the light of the moon I found it. I broke off the stems of the reeds and covered the nest in them, then covered myself up in more reeds to keep out of sight.
Scotsman! Wake up! Come on! Running away, are you? Well, you got more sense than most of your friends. Running into the marsh when it's this wet, without no thought how to get out. Oh, you're gonna say something? Oh, you ain't gonna harm you. I'm gonna help you.
You won't hand me into them then?
No. Well, I'll help you reach the edge of the fen and, well, the rest will be up to you, my friend.
Did you say you'd help?
I'll help you. I don't know what they told you about us, but I ain't gonna bite you. I know I smells a little bit, but not half as bad as you, my friend. Are you hungry? I got some food here. Come on. You need to get your strength up. That's going to take the best part of the day to get down to the edge of the fen. You look half starved to death. Heading home, are you?
God willing.
Scotland, eh? Scotland, where you're from? What's that like then, eh? I bet it ain't like the Fens. Nothing's like my Fens, you know. Oh, I've been told that Scotland's got great hills.
Immense hills. Yes. See that crow up there in the sky? There, look, over there. The hills at home would look right down on that crow. And many of them, great and small. No flat land in sight. But why do you want to help me then?
Way, one more man less on the works, that's better for me. Best they won't get the work done before the money runs out, or the floods come and wash it all away to hell. Scotsman, how would you feel, eh, if men came up from London, they came up to your Scotland, and they told you they was going to level those great hills of yours, make them as flat as the Fens, and then they told you that you couldn't live the life you've lived, and you couldn't graze your cattle, and you had to go crops you'd never heard of, like coal seed and rapeseed. How would you feel, eh? Well, that's what they want to do to us. Take us off our land. Oh, that makes me want to cry when I think what they want to do to my great land, those adventurers and their friends. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you escape. Come on. Eat some more food. That's good, that's eel, that's cheese.
Perhaps we should go. Kelsey will be here soon. He stands up there every morning and looks out.
Come on then. Let's get you up. Let's cover that white jersey up of yours. You don't stand out too much. Right, now this way. Now be careful. That's wet here. Like this. Test the ground, make sure that's not too wet. Come on. Now I'm going to take you to a place called Cambridge. There's all types of strange folk live there, you know. You won't stand out too much. From there, I'll take you to the Great North Road. And from there you can head home. Come on, my friend. This way. That's it. Hold my shoulder.
They let me off at the edge of the fens. From there, we could see Cambridge. I decided to wait till it were dark and found a place to sleep in a barn. Found a few eggs in there to eat and some straw to make a bed. Hundreds of miles were left to go, but I felt I'd done the worst of it. During that night, I dreamt of home. The first time I'd done so for months. The old house. My mother was still looking out for me, even though it had been so long. I imagined the look on her face when I walked through the door. Surely she thinks me long dead by now. I'll open the door and imagine it. The look on her face.
Yes, it's me. Stand up. Come on, stand up! Didn't I tell you to not even think of running away? Didn't I say that?
Yes.
What else did I say?
I don't know.
On the first day you saw me.
To work hard.
What else?
I don't know.
If any of the Scottish prisoners is found to have run away, he will be sentenced to death without mercy. Remember now, do you?
Yes.
So why run away?
I...
Perhaps you want to die.
No.
I've known a few men who hoped to die during the war. Normally, they got their wish once they had that thought in their heads. It's lucky for you it's me who found you, not the soldiers. I understand lads like you. I've spent all my life with lads like you. You know what? The English lads, they're just like you. I didn't think it would be you, though. You're not one of the bad ones. But it is you. Was it your friend who set you off? The one you found dead? I should hand you in right now, of course. A company of soldiers is just down the road. Look at me! You're just a bag of bones. There's nothing left of you. Lads like you, putting you to death. What good comes of it? I asked you a question. What good comes?
No good.
Useless lads like you. Does anyone know you plan to run off? Did you tell any of your friends?
I didn't tell us so.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, come with me now. Before we're seen. You're coming with me back to the works. No one knows you're gone but me. I've decided to take you back to the works. And I won't hand you in. Now, you'll never say a word of this talk, even to your friends. You'll return from work on the roads, that's what you'll say. I want you to tell your friends that you've heard the war is soon to be over. Someone told you when you worked out on the roads. And the chances are that you'll all be set free soon anyway. That's what I want you to say. And if you don't do this, I can still have you put to death. Even if one more of you runs off, I can have all of you put to death. Do I make this clear? I never miss a thing. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Right, well, come on then. The sooner we go, the better, because we'll not have been missed. And don't say a word of this to your friends. Are you clear?
Yes.
Well, come on then. I can still change my mind.
So, no more Scots gone from the works?
None, sir, not one.
Good, you've done well. I've never told you this, John, but I've many times cursed the day I ever got involved with these works. It's taken up most of my life, and there's rarely been a day when I haven't cursed you with all the problems I have to deal with. Parliament, money, rioting, petitions against the work, stealing and violence, blowing up the banks, putting men to death. All of it, one on top of the other. And heaven help me, trying to keep Sir Cornelius under control would drive a saint mad. Sometimes I felt there's not a single person on God's earth who wasn't against these works, but then I look out and see what we've done in such a short time. It almost seems that we can see an end to the work. We expect the new river to run by the end of the month. Eventually, they'll thank us for these works.
Yeah, after we're long gone.
How many men can say they'd change the face of the earth forever? How did we do it?
Did what he said. I didn't know if it was true or more of his lies, but I had no choice. No one else ran away. Even the thought of being free calmed everyone down. Summer came at last. The Fens were not such a bad place in the summer with the cold gone. Apart from the mosquitoes and flies, but that were no worse than Scotland. I remember there were times when life was not so bad. Sitting on the high bank we'd built, a band of us. The talk was good, we had a few laughs. The first time I'd laughed since before the battle. Close to a lifetime back. We even sang some of the old songs from Scotland. From there we could look out on the works and across the great ocean of grass and reeds as far as the eye could see. Something about it made me think of home. Not the place, but the quiet and the talk. It could not look less like Scotland, man, these great flat lands. One of the lads stood up and looked down the great bank and the great drain and cried out, "We built this, lads! We built this with our bare hands!" Get down, we cried back, but it was true what he said. It almost seemed beyond belief we'd done such a thing. Look at it. We built this with our bare hands.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, sit down. How are the Scots?
Fine.
Sit down. The Scots are the reason I asked to see you. Hammond's told me the Scots to be set free. Closing's been signed on the wall. The guards will soon be dismissed. After the river run, the Scots will be set free in the next few weeks. Hammond also said the company won't need an overseer once they're gone. I defended you. I told him we need men like you.
Defended me.
Well, the company's planning to come to Cambridge. They want to see you there. Hammond said they want to hear more about how the Scots were deployed and the work on the North Bank, the defects with the work up there.
The defects? You mean the defects that you sent us to sort out? Those defects were nothing to do with me.
I'm only telling you what he said. Abuse is done to them and defects in the works. He didn't say what it meant.
And you didn't ask him?
Hammond also said they want you to make them good.
What does that mean?
That's what he said.
Make them good? What do they mean? How can a man like me make them good? Did you tell them we did the work there for you?
I'm willing to back you up if they ask.
So you'll be there?
No.
So how will you back me up?
They didn't ask me to be there.
So when will you help me? We did the work up there for you.
I'm willing to back you up if the talk goes that way.
You said that you do or say anything that needs to be done. That's the only reason you're on these works.
The only reason I'm still here is because I'm one of the few who actually knows what he's doing. Do you think this work would be finished if Hammond had planned it? The entire works would be washed down to the sea. Just be careful what you say to them. The company still wants to blame me for the floods and the contracts. But they still need me for the works. I'm sorry, I didn't expect all this.
What did you say to them?
Listen to what they have to say and leave. The only reason you're here is for the Scots. That's always been the case. And now that we go. John, I can help you. If you set up your workshop, I'll buy parts from you for the sluices and gates. We'll always need all kinds of things made of wood. Crafted things. Skilled things. I know how good you are with these things. Nobody else will help you. Unless I'm here on the works, I can't help you. So don't try to put the blame on me. Believe me, John, I'm on your side.
You're on your own side.
Both of our sides.
Your side.
Isn't that how it is for men like us? Somehow we have to find a way to live.
I'm not like you.
Hammond and his sort won't help us.
I'm not like you.
After all these years of war, all the hurt, they just do whatever they want, and we have to find a way to live. You and me, John, we're on the same side.
You didn't fight in the war. You don't even know what it means to take sides.
Surely you've always known your work would come to an end.
I'm glad I'm not like you.
Nothing's left to say then. I need to get on with the work.
Stop. That promise you made about the workshop.
Yes.
I promise you one thing. If you let me down, I'll come back. I've still got my sword and guns from the war. I controlled hundreds of Scots. I can sort out the likes of you.
What good would that do you?
Only the good to see the look on your face.
Calm down, man. I promised I'd help. Perhaps the Scots deserve to be set free after all they've been through. You should be proud of what you've done with them.
Proud?
Getting them to work so well in the end.
Proud of treating men like dogs.
Proud of their work.
Only God will be our judge.
Well, I believe in the work we've done here. I believe there's good in this work. Isn't that all that counts in the end for men like us? Whatever they do or say to us, the work will still be there. These banks and drains will be here when we're long gone. In hundreds of years they'll be here. Isn't that all that counts?
Only God will be our judge.
I promise I'll do what I can to help you. Now, I have to leave.
So we were set free. Free to go where we wanted, to go where we like. We could nae believe the works set free. Many men chose to stay on the works, work with the English dikers. Pay was more than we find at home, they said. I believe some of them had children. Perhaps their families are still in these parts to this day. Perhaps some of you have some of their blood. Maybe I can see it in some of your faces. Maybe you. Perhaps not. Others found work in England, and some, like me, made a return to Scotland. That long, long walk home. Before I leave you to your lives, I have one more thing to say. Remember, please, the thousands of men who died in battles, in marches, in prisons, on these trains, English as well as Scots. Also the thousands of men who dug out the rest of the drains, the hundreds of miles of them. Poor men, forgotten men, even though their work lays all around you, keeps you from the floods. Also, the common men who lost their ground. Remember them, please. And now, I must start